Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge. So I've been doing a lot of this looking to the future content with all these DZ-16 breakdowns and testings and such. Um, but we should do some content on the present time. And while the future and the present are going to become much closer together next year, we are not quite there yet. So today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on Veissrugr. Um, I really like Angerbolt. Specifically stuff regarding Angerbolt is why really wanted to do a deck profile on this one. Um, I decided almost instantly that this was going to be my pick for the DZ-14 Constructed Cup. I had a number of options from the decks that were allowed for that, but I decided pretty quickly I wanted to play Veissrugr. So I've been playing the deck a bunch in the last couple weeks, leading up to that Constructed Cup, so that I would be familiar enough with playing the deck, like get the rust off. Because like obviously I play a lot of different decks and I haven't touched Veissrugr too often for a super long stretch of time before now, though I had the general theory in my brain. Um, and I went 3-1 with it. I really like the list. So let's talk about it. Ride line, of course, Veissrugr ride line. Nothing fancy here. There's not really options for generic ride lines in Brancade, and the nature of the deck means you don't want to use an alternative ride line anyways. The grade 1 grabs you your Moongate order from the deck and plays it out. Your grade 2 looks top 7 and grabs up to 2 Mythishes from among them. Puts one of them in the order zone and adds the other to hand. The fact that adds to hand is actually very important for Angerbolt. That order is, of course, the Moongate that you can tap in EB3 to look top 7. If you're at grade 2 or less, you just call a Mythish from that top 7. And if you're at grade 3 or greater, you get to grab 3 Mythish from that top 7, call 1, put the other 2 into the gate. And of course, Veissrugr himself allows you to Soul Blast to reactivate the Moongate. So you get to do that, fire that twice in a turn, and you call out a fresh column from the gate by counterblasting 1 on attack, and you can send back your Mythishes when you guard with 1 to give it shield plus 5,000, which makes it very difficult for you to deck out, which is pretty cool. We, of course, have our 3 Persona rides, never leave home without them, and we'll leave that for now. 4 of each of the numbered Mythishes, because these cards are all incredible. The dog, Rotsnir, is very like, this is our bread and butter in the early game most of the time, because this is able to counterblast 1 energy or energy blast 3 as long as we have a Moongate on attack to draw a card. So usually I won't be using the Moongate turn 1, sometimes not even turn 2, because it's better expected value to just spend the energy on Rotsnir. And then once we're on grade 3, on place, we get to choose one of our opponent's rears, and when it attacks, it'll attack both that rear and our opponent's Vanguard. Has to be front row. We can't kill the blast token. We are. This is not one of the predators of Astashin. But yeah. Yes. The snake gets plus 15 if our opponent's on grade 3 or greater, and we play an order that turn. So this thing gets enormous very quickly. Not something we really want to use as an attacker on when our opponent's on grade 2, so we're on our going first turn 3, but we have other guys for that, of course. And is, of course, our multi-attacker. When we call it out to the back row, we can counterblast 1 to give it the ability to attack from back row that turn, and also give it resist, which is pretty great because it means it's always going to live to our next turn, which is then gonna let us push it up to the front row, and it's gonna swing for like 40k solo, 45 solo typically. Massive numbers. And then the solo grade 1 in the deck, Helgver, This card is crazy. When placed on rear, we get to either look top 5 for a Persona Ride or one of our Lunarite orders, or Energy Blast 3 to search directly for a Lunarite order. And then it has a Bubble Mine effect of, at the end of its boost, if we're on grade 3 or greater, we can shove it into Soul to countercharge 1, which of course also fuels the Soul Blast on Veissrugr to reactivate the Moongate. Incredible card. Though the way we use this card can be a bit strange in this deck, in this particular build. Almost never going for the Energy Blast 3 Persona Ride mode, just directly search. Basically always going for the top 5, because I'd just rather use the energy on the Moongate. And then we've got a simple 4 copies of the Dumbass Crow, who is here to provide us with additional boosters and not really anything else. It makes some nice magic numbers with Angerbolt and with Veissrugr, but like there's nothing else notable about this card. I cannot wait to take this out for the new promo. And we have, so this is one of the spicy things. I am not running the yellow order. I am only running, what is this card called? Alfinis Fato Boggy, which is the one that can be played from drop and only gives 5k to each of your Mythishes. The yellow order, whose name I cannot remember for the life of me, is a powerful card, for sure. But it's a very clunky card, because you already don't really want to discard a ton of your cards. And it adds extra Carabass expenditures that could be going to, like, plussing you with Rotsnir and stuff like that. And having to keep it in hand sucks, man. Having to keep it in hand sucks. Like, this just being a discard fodder is so much better. Even though we can't use it on our going first turn 3, I don't think that's actually that big of a concern anymore. If you play correctly. So, we're running 4 Angerbolt. I probably have this somewhere in the thumbnail. But this is my main divergence from what I see in typical Veissrugr builds. I am running 4 copies of Angerbolt. Why am I running 4 copies of Angerbolt? So, like, typically people are running only 1 or 2. And it's like, okay, I think that's wrong. So what does Angerbolt do? This is a 28k base. It retires itself at end of turn, and normally it cannot be ridden or called to rear guard circle. However, in hand, you can Soul Blast 1, grab something out from your Moongate to the hand, and throw it into the gate. And then when your Vanguard with Veissrugr in its name attacks, we can send back 1 or more from rear and up to 2 from drop. Each of the names of Rotsnir, Garvorums, is that the name it took? Yeah, it took that name. Garvorums and Helvar. So one of each of the numbered Mythishes. And then it will lose its Cots for the rest of the turn, thus allowing you to call it with Veissrugr's on attack. This is not hard to set up. In basically every game I have played on this build, and I played a good couple dozen leading into that Constructed Cup, I was barely ever missing this. Like, then it is like a couple games ever that I've missed being able to do this. It does require you to play with it in mind. For example, often what I will end up doing is I'll have this column, other column doesn't really matter. I'll swing with this, and I won't soul in this Helvar, because I need this on board and not in soul so that I can use Angerbolt. And then I'll just send these back from field and call. And ideally, I have another Helvar from the Moongate I can call behind it if I'm going first, etc., etc. That has not been an issue on the Carabass expenditure at all in my experience. So I'm not really concerned on that end. So like the big thing is these two choices here go hand in hand. Because the reason I feel comfortable not running the yellow order and thus having weaker numbers overall on the going first turn 3 is because I have Angerbolt, which does a lot to supplement those numbers. Because, like, for example, let's say, like, the formation you'll typically be going for is something like, something along these lines. Maybe this will be here, but if we manage to discard one earlier, it'll be like this, right? Maybe another booster here, yada yada. So we'll go like 23. Those numbers are just all right. We take out an intercept, and we'll have one of these in the drop, and we'll go face swing. Send all three of these back. Call out these two. So this is, the first swing was 23. Then we go, this is 28. This is going to be 30. And then this is going to be a cool 33, 41. So your numbers are still like really, really brutal going first with the addition of Angerbolt. And that means that you have the freedom in those going first numbers that you don't need to run the yellow order. And as a result, the deck just feels a lot better in my experience, because the yellow order is just clunky. It doesn't feel good to play with. It just rots in your hand for a while. It adds extra counterblast requirements to your turn. Like, it's not great. I don't enjoy using the card. Like, what the card does is, on a fundamental level, very powerful. But that isn't worth the jank it as a deck when we have an alternative option like this, which is going to be providing you a shit ton of power on your Persona right turns anyways, as well as your going second turn 3. Also, this Soul Blast ability from the hand to put itself into the Moon Gate is also very powerful. It gives you some additional board building, which can be very helpful. It gives you more it gives you access to your Moon Gate at all in the main phase, which is something that you didn't really have the capacity to do before. And the only thing is that, like, there's no real ways to get this into the hand. Everything puts into Moongate or onto the board. Except for the grade 2 ride line. This is the only card in the entire deck that can get this to hand. And I think that effect would be much, much better if we had more ways. And unfortunately, the promo did not give us new ways to get Angerbolt to hand, because that effect is very nice, and it's been very, very useful every time it comes up. And like the big thing is that, like, 1 or 2 Angerbolt is just not enough to consistently see it every single turn 3. Because of course you're going to need to see another copy. At least for now, recurring the Angerbolt becomes a lot easier with the new promo. But I will probably end up dropping this to 3 with the new promo, because like but right now you need to just, like, okay, I need to find another one from my deck to put into my Moongate for my next turn, and that is easy enough, especially on 4 copies. But now that we'll be able to put it in from the drop potentially, with that new promo, then I don't think we necessarily need 4. I think 3 will be enough at that point to do that consistently. But yeah, that is the reasoning there. For the blitzes, we just have Twin Cast and Buster Barrage. I'm only on 1 Buster Barrage basically because, like, I couldn't really change any of these ratios. These ratios basically needed to be what they are. And like when it came down to it, I was like, okay, it's either 2 Buster Barrage and no Regalis, or I just go 1 Buster Barrage, 1 Twin Cast. And like having a Twin Cast over the second Buster Barrage is just much better. The one unfortunate thing with Angerbolt is that it does make Buster Barrage much weaker, because it means that you tend to have a lower count of Mythishes and grade 2 or graders in general in your drop zone, which makes Buster Barrage a harder card to line up. But all the same, and like, especially because of that, I was like, okay, yeah, especially once I realized that in my testing, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm super, super comfortable with going 1-1, because Twin Cast is just always going to be live. Like, there's never any concern with this card not being live. I think in DZ-15, I would take out Buster Barrage entirely for the new Blitz cycle that we're getting. The ones that spawn Persona Shield if you went second. Because those just have reliable value, and Buster Barrage just doesn't work as often when we're going on an Angerbolt, and I think going in on an Angerbolt is just the correct way to do this. Yeah. I think the main things I would change. Oh yeah, the rest of the deck is very simple. It's fucking 3 PGs, 1 Sanctitude, Eldo, 8 crit, 3 front, 4 heal, including 2 counter heals for restands. Nothing complicated here. So with the new promo, I think what I would probably end up doing is the crows obviously come out. We run 4 crows right now here, so we just take out 4 crows for 4 of the promo. Easy peasy, easiest change ever made. And then I think 1 copy of Angerbolt plus the Buster Barrage come out for the DZ-15 Blitz orders. Maybe a 1-1 split would be between it and Buster Barrage. Could be feasible. Maybe we stay on Buster Barrage. We'll have to see. I'm not entirely sure. And for Twin Cast, I think I'll actually take out Twin Cast for Planetary. Because one thing the deck does definitely still suffer from is the fact that it only gets 2 checks. And getting to Scry with Planetary is very powerful. Something that really helps solve the Twin Drive the Twin Drive syndrome this deck does still have. So I think that is something I would like to do when we have those cards. We'll have both of those by both the DZ-15 Blitz and the DZ-16 Planetary by time we have the promo. So yeah, those are my main considerations looking into the future for this deck. But I hope you guys will give the Angerbolt maxing build a shot. It's a lot of fun to drop the big mech on people constantly every single turn cycle. And it feels just very, very strong. It feels like it just flows a lot better than older versions of the deck did. So I just like it a lot. Like the ride up discards just feel a lot better now. Now that we're able to just go fully in on this order. And like we can like, okay, we just discard Snake in the early game as one of our discards as well, etc., etc. Wow, I cannot wait for all of the mythages to feel like fine discards with the new promo. Like that part of the card where it just, oh yeah, just put shit back into your Moon Gate or get it back onto the field. Super, super good. Their only complaint with that card is I wish it was a grade 1. Because it would really shore up the going second turn 1. But it's fine. Like the card's still completely cracked. But that'll be it for me. This is Hunter Surge signing off.